As a CMO, one of the big, difference that I saw in your body of work, if I were to call it, is you write a lot. You are a influential LinkedIn voice. You've written a book. So, what is one thing, if I were to call it, which you wrote, which resonated with, practitioners, which even surprised you, saying, "Hey, I didn't think this will kind of resonate with my audience, and with my, I would say, fellow practitioners." So, anything that caught you by surprise?
So I'll tell you what, I've not written a lot about it, but it is sort of the foundation of my book, but I've not articulated in such a way. When I was a child, meaning maybe I was in early college, one of the visuals that caught my eye during, I think it was Women's Day, where, you see this beautiful format of the woman, like the Indian goddess, with multiple hands, one holding the laptop, one feeding the child, one cooking. That visual got me very annoyed. I think it still irks me when people use that visual. And I've spoken about it in forums, and I've spoken about it in my book in some form. I mean, it's the basis for this entire thing, saying this whole multitasking thing, whether it is woman or man. I mean, today even men are doing this, where, they are single parenting or whatever, is such a false depiction of anybody, because you are putting this societal pressure on somebody to be handling it all. This whole juggling the balls and never being able to drop it. Only the Joker can do it because he's practiced that over the years. Try doing it, it's not possible. So, why are we expecting somebody to be able to do all of this perfectly and not fall? The cases of depression or the cases of, anxiety, postpartum, all of that happens because there is so much pressure. And it links back to the four burner theory as well. So there's a scientific explanation of that as well, saying you will have to, and when you see the stove, all flames don't run equally. So if you
Hmm.
want one to burn really high, you have to compromise or slow down the other, so that that one flame burns. So if you want to commit those extra hours at work, you are missing the time to maybe read that story to your child, because the child is slept by the time you come back home. And you should be okay with that, because you took the call to stay those 2 hours at work. And I think that education, especially as a leader, to your teams, to your partners, to people around you, your family, is extremely important. I think when educated well, it resonates, which is why I wrote the book. She asked for it, saying you have to ask. Don't assume that people around you will understand why you can't balance everything, because everybody has been taught that you can balance it. And the book is just about that, and it's resonated very well with people who've read. They appreciate the fact that, you have to ask for help. You have to tell people that, what, I am going to be late, pick up my son. And build that ecosystem around you, so that people understand what you do. So my children, for example, they're 7 and 12. I have a son and a daughter. And when I'm in meetings or when I'm taking calls, they understand and they know that mama works really hard. And that's important to educate them, right? So they appreciate what I do, they appreciate I work, and they don't take it for granted. I've seen families where, where the fathers come back from work, the children are like, dad's tired, mom, can I get a glass of milk? No, I think it has to be fair, it has to be equitable, and that happens at home. You have to educate your children at home, because otherwise you're setting the same precedence around, expectation from family. That concept now has shaped my life significantly, and I think I have been successful because, my spouse understands, my family understands, and that's because I've asked for it. If I don't, then I can't blame them, saying I don't have a supportive husband, I don't have a supportive family. You never asked for support. So whether it is for support at home or your preferred job at work, you have to ask, because even the role that you spoke of, the GSK role, I had to ask for it. I was not the preferred candidate. I was somebody who came back from mat leave. And this job required a lot of travel. It was a global job. It had really bad working hours. And therefore, I was not. So HR clearly said, Mika, this is not the role where, we would recommend you. They were coming from the right space in their heart, saying, you're a new mother. They are right in their piece. I wanted this. I wanted my career to fly, because this particular role was a once in a lifetime role. And then I was willing to make that sacrifice. But I had aligned everybody at home, saying, I want to do this, I will need the support. So at every given point in time, You have to, whether man, whether woman, depending upon where you are in your life stage, ask, balance. There's nothing as such as perfect balance. You can try at best, and that's where you're happy, which is why I love what I do, right? I'm able to bring my 100% because I don't carry guilt. I love building, I love my work, I love building the brand, I love growing my children. It's everywhere, but I know at some times I will falter, but that's okay with me. I'm not perfect, I'm not expected to be perfect. So I think that's one piece that has shaped my life. It resonates very well when explained well to people. And then suddenly it's not a conversation about bias and women and inclusion. No, it's not about that. It's just about letting people know what is possible, what is not possible, because then you're able to bring your 100% without guilt, and therefore you're so much more productive. So
It's
yeah, I can
almost
keep
like
talking about it, you know.
well, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I
Yeah.
think so. You're really not talking about the mythical work-life balance to
Yeah.
actually saying, "Hey, it's about work-life integration,"
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So therefore,
Yes.
that's something that you talk about. Very nice. Uh,